Hello, it's that time again. Get up, get off the couch, and tackle your own to-do list. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Just Ask Bob Show. I am your host, Bob Assadourian. We kick it off again with the viewer's email. This is from Brenda in Hamilton, Ontario. Hello, Bob. My husband wants to keep repairing the rubber washers and seals on our two-handle ancient shower faucet. The damn thing leaks water every few months, and it's always the hot. I want a beautiful, modern, Moen single-handle faucet. Bob, the ones that are a circle, and my husband tells me we cannot do this without ripping out parts of, if not the entire tiled wall. Bob, please help. Well, Brenda, you're in luck. We've been doing these projects now, licensed as a company for about 17 years, and I can't do it without Moen. Moen has actually patented what they call the Moen conversion plate. Now, the negative part is it costs almost just as much, if not more, than the actual faucet. However, it will help you. Let's take a moment and look now. If you live in a home that, has been built in the last maybe 10, 15 years, this should look familiar. This is your typical faucet cover plate that would be above your bathtub, would be also in your shower. This is modern. Now, if you live in an old Hamilton home, you're typically going to have two handles. The cold always on the right, the hot on the left. Now, it's not just about the orientation of the handles. The big problem is the way faucets were created back then. Those faucets had rubbers in them. It was not a maintenance-free cartridge. It was a different design. So a lot of times, I can remember when I was growing up as a kid, my dad would always be yelling at us, don't over-tighten the handle. You just turn it until it stops. Every time you over-tighten it, you damage and wear the seal, and eventually starts dripping. And as luck would have it, it's usually the hot side that trips. So that costs you a lot of money. Costs you money to heat the water, costs you also money to pay for the water bill incoming to the home, and you pay times two with that with the water drainage. So for that being said, modern faucets have a cartridge system. Some of them have a stainless steel ball. They're very, very high quality. And my top pick is always the Moen. I've always been installing the Moen. Now, what Moen came out with is the remodel plate. So this is sort of a retrofit situation. Now, if you can picture, they're both together here. Now, this has a recess where it's going to fit in. Okay, that fits into the recess. Now, on typical installations, your hot water handle is here, your cold is here. So if this plate didn't exist, you better have some tiles left over. You better be a creative genius and just blend in a different color tile and try to create a border, or you use the remodel plate. Now, from a past job site we had some time ago, we took it upon ourselves to capture the video. Now, with that being said, we love the fellas at Cable 14, but due to scheduling at times or great heights such as ladders, edges of roofs, we can't always have them with us. So although this is not professional footage, we are professionals and we work very, very hard to bring the show to you, the viewer. Here we go. Now, for the viewers at home, on this particular job, we had a closet right behind the shower. Now, when homeowners call me and ask me to look at these things, I always have it in the back of my mind that these older Hamilton homes, there was no shutoffs for the hot and cold water. So that's a problem with a lot of bathtubs and showers, because if you have a drip or you need to turn the water off, you have to shut the water off to the entire home. Convenience, when you have a closet, you can do what we're doing here. We're cutting in an access panel. Well, at this moment, we're cutting in a square hole, but afterwards, you can buy at any of the local big box stores, plastic access panel, spring-loaded. You can put it right over. You can hang a picture. You can hang clothes over it. Anything, doesn't matter. Point being, you don't have to fuss with priming, painting, and sanding because, again, it is a closet. Inside that hole you're seeing right now, we're going to be installing future shutoff valves. So if there's a drip or a problem, you can turn the water off. Now you need a very, very steady hand with this. I've been doing this for years. You only have about 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch tolerance between the black magic marker line you're seeing and the edge of the chrome Moen remodel plate. So if you slip or you go off the line too much, you might have to put a little bit of extra caulking around the remodel plate or figure something out, but there's not a lot of room there for mistakes. And this is no guarantee. This is almost a quote from the job contract I wrote with the homeowners. There is a risk to doing this. The risk is tile several feet away could fall. The tile wall anywhere outside of that black line could crack, and then you have to figure that out accordingly. But the only other alternative really is to gut the entire wall or try to blend in or patch in some type of border or accent tile. Now if you notice to the left where the marker ends, there's no black marker line going vertically. I'm actually going right through the grout. This was the easiest of all the cuts. It just happened to be where the template lined up. Sometimes we're lucky, sometimes we're not. Speaking of luck, I don't want to take all the credit for this, but we've done this many times, as I said before, and at this moment now, when I'm pulling this out, it'll either crumble or the stress will crack an adjoining tile. Lucky as we were, this came out absolutely perfectly. Not a single scratch on the outside tile. Now we have our mock-up here. We've gone to great lengths to try to create a prop to illustrate what's going on. That shower that you just watched me working in, literally I felt like I was in a space of about 26 inches by 26 inches. There's no way to bring the team in there to get a proper recording of the next steps. So we've created the mock-up here. Now, the cutout that I just made is the template for the Moen cover plate. So as you can see, it fits here. This that comes with every Moen faucet fits in the middle. And now what we're going to teach you is how to solder. And speaking of soldering, let me take a moment to demystify the process, at least the comparison between the types of supply lines that are popular. Now, tried, tested, and proven. Bob's top pick, by the way, copper. Copper's been used practically forever, before I was around. Copper's been used, there's no problems with it, as long as you don't get it stolen, because it is very, very valuable. Now another option is PEX. Blue for cold, red for hot. Now if you live in a home that was made in the last 15 or so years, the entire home will be done with PEX. Now, it's new. New doesn't always mean better. Let me sort of try to explain this. Think about it now. For those of you that have a home that's plumbed with PEX, go to your basement, so long as the ceiling's unfinished, look through all the joist cavities. You'll see that the runs come in and it runs throughout the entire home. Everything branches off to every bathroom, every fixture. Now, where I want you to take a specific look is where it exits the home for the hose bib. So your garden hose reel for your hose, whether you have one in the front or the back, when you see that in your basement, you locate it. I'm more than certain they stopped the PEX, they transitioned it to copper. So the portion that goes through the concrete foundation is copper. Now, plant a seed in your mind at home. Why? That's the big question. Why did they transition to copper? I believe it's because the copper has strength, abrasion resistance. It's not going to develop a leak going through the concrete. So in my mind, that's the simple test. Which one is stronger? Which one is better? I personally think they switched to this just to save money. The tools to use this are very, very expensive. Skill levels, practically nothing. So again, my personal opinion will be the copper. After this quick break, we're back with our favorite employee, master tradesman himself, Frank Lorcella, our apprentice. We're going to kick off some soldering and start showing you how to run a copper line between the faucet and to the shower head. Welcome back. Good job, Frank.
Thanks.
Frank Lorcella on the drill. Triple R apprentice and my best man on the solder gun. That's why you're here today.
Yep.
How many homes you burned down?
None so far.
Honestly, that may come off as a joke, but believe me how important it is that your contractor has commercial liability insurance. Very important, because you could burn the home down. We always work carefully. Speaking of burning the home down, a couple of items here. This is a flame-resistant cloth. This is very, very important. There are many applications where your torch, your flame, is going to be very, very close to wood. And again, this is a prop, so this wood is new, but when it's older wood, it's very dry, so it could easily catch fire. You want to be very, very careful. Another item, now people don't believe me when I tell them I use this, but this is plumber's bread. This is actually plumber's bread, and I'll explain it in a moment. Depending on the application, again, obviously we're not running water through this today, but when you've cut open piping in your basement, the gravity, obviously, the water can still be dripping for hours. So back in the day, plumbers would actually take apart their lunch, take apart their sandwiches, and they'd stuff it into the copper in order to create a blockage, create a dam, because you can never solder. The solder won't pull itself in if there's water inside the copper pipe. These are beautiful. You open them up. They come in different sizes. So this one is for 1/2 inch, and then they also come with the little tool to poke it inside. Now for the viewers at home, you might be thinking or wondering, is Bob going to cause a blockage with this? Now obviously, as we'll get into it in a moment, cartridge has to be out when you solder. That's critical. Shower head, which isn't here yet, shower head should be unscrewed. Faucets, the aerator at the bottom, because it's got the fine screen for the spray, that has to be unscrewed for 2 reasons. Any type of debris inside the product when you're soldering, when the water turns back on, that could clog the screen of the aerator, or obviously if you've got half your sandwich packed in there. Now we're going to take you through the steps. During the break, Frank just finished installing what we call the body. Like, this is literally the heart and soul of the Moen faucet. This is machined well. This is a beautiful unit. Now, the brains of it, which we're going to tackle in a moment, is the cartridge. This is the cartridge that comes with the Moen lifetime warranty. Frank, you do the honors. Let's pull the cartridge out. If you solder with the cartridge in, it's destroyed. So that's the pin that comes out. Counterclockwise. Great. Let me show that off now. Now this is very important. Again, this is the brains, you could say, the brains of the faucet. This is what controls the flow for the hot, for the cold. There's a lot of plastic in here. There's rubber O-rings. So obviously this cannot accept heat. You have to pull it out. Big mistake for many DIY projects at home. Many homeowners leave it in and then they do their soldering. You can't do that. You won't get away with it. The top obviously goes up to a shower head. The right side goes over for the cold water inlet. This side here is for the hot. Now, and depending on your application, if it's a tub and you need the spout fill, this one comes down, connects to the spout fill to fill the tub. If you're only using a shower without a tub fill, then you can bring this down and cap it. So Frank, let's kick it off. Cut me a piece, 18 inches. Frank's using a copper cutting wheel. I highly recommend one. You can use a hacksaw, but your cut's not going to be square. This tool is beautiful. You rotate, you tighten. You rotate, you tighten.
And speed is not needed in this. Nice and slow makes a better cut.
What happens if you go too fast?
And it burrs the edges of it.
You can also crush the pipe.
It's also true.
If you crush the pipe and then you solder it male-female connection into the fitting, you may potentially have a leak. I'll give them a quick cleaning now. Both of these are deburring tools, both of them. Each one serves a different purpose. This one will clean the inside, or deburr it, so to speak. This goes on the outside. I mean, you can see there is a color difference there. That's how clean you want copper. When you solder, it's all about cleanliness. Cleanliness and preparation will determine if the joint holds. or else you're going to have a leak, and then there's water in the system. You got to take it apart, bleed it. If it's in an area where you can't get the water out, you're going to be stuffing your sandwich bread in there. So you have to be careful. Frank, want to clean one of the 90s for me? And then I want to make a point of things sliding apart when you're soldering, because I want to try to explain to the viewers at home there's a lot of different applications. You could be in your basement, you know, working overhead in the ceiling joists. You could have a bathroom floor torn up and you're soldering in there, or you can be inside walls. There are times when as you solder, it wants to slide apart because it's too heavy, it's weighing on itself. So for example, just give that a cleaning too inside, Frank. That's the first one we'll tackle. Okay, now to line this up. Okay, see what happens now? It falls out. That's not good because these have a tolerance. These have to go in the exact amount. That's called bottomed out. Oops. You have to push it till it bottoms out. If it doesn't bottom out and it's only part way, you're going to have a problem. You're not going to have a good bond. So I wouldn't solder this in place because it's going to want to come apart. So what we call this now is prefabricating. A lot of times your plumber, your contractor, depending on the area or the location, will measure, pre-assemble, prefabricate it away from the wall, and then install it. Frank, want to do the honors?
Yep, absolutely.
Apply the paste. Now this paste will ensure cleanliness, and it's going to ensure a good bond. You can't miss or cheat on any of these steps. General application, you put it on both ends always. And you want to make sure when you're drilling holes through studs or you're making a mess, do not get any contamination in here. You don't want, you know, wood chips or debris falling in here because it'll impact the joint and you could develop a water leak. Okay, so that's ready to be prefabbed?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to do it with the mini.
Okay.
We're going to get you gripping it with this because it's going to get hot. Safety glasses, very important. We're talking about flame. We're talking about solder. It could put your eye out. There. I love this guy, my best friend. No hose, no cords. It can get in the tight areas. Now, heat rises. Wrong thing to do is the top joint. I like to work my way from the bottom up. Now the only problem with this small torch is it takes a little bit of time to heat up. That's how you want it to pull in. Now the heat's already transferred here. Watch how fast this one goes. You see why this can be dangerous, doing this in a house. Now what you want to do is have some water on hand. And you want to wipe the joint. This cleans it up nicely. That way you're going to have leak-free joints. Okay, Frank, this is going to be hot, so let's figure this out now. We're going to clean this off. Okay, let's fit it in, Frank.
Perfect.
So now, this is what we mean about prefabricating. We take our measurements, we set it up in a controlled area, and we install it. This is not going to fall out now, whereas in the beginning it kept wanting to fall. Okay, you know what? Now that that's in, let's make one more for the other side. Exactly the same. Up next, Bob's Bewares and Bob's Top Picks. Welcome back to our plumbing show. Now, as you can see, we did have a chance to use the flame fabric. Very, very important. This can protect you from starting a fire. Another item for all the DIYers at home, keep a fire extinguisher handy. I'm not kidding, keep it handy. My own jobs for the last 17 years, all my employees know. I mean, there's a lot to do when we're remodeling a bathroom, a kitchen, or a basement, not just the actual soldering. So the way I like to plan it out is, very, very beginning of the day, we do all our soldering. That way, we're still on the job for many hours, just in case something catches fire. I mean, this is only a prop, and you can see the wood flaming. On older homes, you've got plaster and lath. You've got debris inside the walls. There's a lot of reasons the wall can catch fire easily and quickly. So please always keep a fire extinguisher handy. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, regardless of just plumbing, but this comes to mind, your contractor must have commercial liability insurance. In the event he doesn't have it, and he causes thousands of dollars in minor fire damage or hundreds of thousands in major fire damage, you're in a lot of trouble. So I don't think he's going to come up with that money out of his pocket. He needs to be insured. Now we're going to kick off with Bob's Top Picks and Bob's Bewares. Our top pick today is copper. Real, old school copper. I prefer it as the finest method to have the water flow to all your supply lines. Now we have a Bob's Beware, and I have to be honest, it's conditional. A conditional Bob's Beware. The shark bites. Now, why do I say conditional? Even Bob's guilty of having used them. Sometimes these to-do lists take too long. You could save a lot of time with the shark bite. Now, let's look at it this way. If it's an issue of clearance, if it's an issue of having to take out further walls, or you can't get in with the torch, the odd shark bite here and there, even master pro plumbers will use it. But the problem now arises when your contractor uses these absolutely everywhere. I mean, picture building a new bathroom in your basement. You could need dozens and dozens of fittings. These fittings are approximately 15 times more expensive than a traditional copper fitting. So leave them for emergencies, leave them for a clearance issue. Largest database on the net, please follow our show. We will have nearly 60 half-hour home improvement shows, and I can assure you, Hamilton, we've covered everything from the foundation to the roof and in between. www.justaskbob.com. Again, that's www.justaskbob.com. Pause, fast forward, rewind, learn at your pace. And if you want to call, Bob's old school. Get up, get off the couch, pick up the phone. 289-649-0196. Again, that's 289-649-0196. Thank you.
I can't open this.
Oh no, it's okay. Just twist.
Go.
Didn't we have it on before?
No.
Well, we're in fast forward now anyway, so we're in time lapse. Everything looks better in time lapse.